such as it is, of solar and wind.
It doesn't, no, I'm not saying it does, but what I'm saying is they realize that there is no way that you can depend on
I'm not saying
what,
that.
well, that as far as the way the grid functions, that because you can't just flip a switch, in other words, if there's no electricity, no constant dependable electricity coming from wind or solar, you can't just go even on, let's say a gas or fossil fuel or nuclear or any of those plants, you just can't go flip a switch and have that make up the difference in the grid. So what they're having to do now is look towards nuclear.
Right.
And that's, and again, so now we have subsidies going to nuclear. So the way I look at it, this is an immensely complex discussion. It's a good one, but I think we got to be careful what we wish for and careful what we go to. It's not all one way.
Well, but I do need to counter you on that. The subsidies that are going to nuclear are not for new plants. They're to keep the existing
That's
ones
correct.
going for a while.
That's correct.
Because they're balancers.
That's correct.
It comes back to like the old milk plants, like the one used to be in Fraser that was a milk marketing balancing. They made a lot of skim powder when there was too much milk in the Northeast. Nuclear plants are very similar. And the subsidies are going to try to maintain them because right now the cost of production for electricity for them is higher. But you need them, like you said, to balance the grid.
To balance, because...
And shutting them down right now
That's right.
would be a crisis.
That's right. So that's why the governor is backing way off. In fact, there are countries. Spain has said no more deals with wind and solar. Germany is looking similarly because again, it's again, I don't understand all the intricacies of how grids work, but my understanding to this point is that you've got to have consistency in the system. And if you don't have stuff like nuclear, which has kind of been shunned, who wants to say, you know, would you get up on a stage somewhere and say, I think we need a nuclear plant in Otsego or Franklin?
Right, that's why we need 1,000 20-acre electric generating plants in different spots where the sun is shining and stuff to help to balance that out.
And it doesn't work in the Northeast.
They're working on energy storage right now.
That's right, they're working on it, but it's not working so that the system will work properly now,
Because
Don.
people aren't investing in it because, you know.
Well, maybe they have a magic month, you know.
Exactly. What's it cost?
These solar farms should be treated the same way that pipeline was, because everything that they holler about, that pipeline, exactly, if one tree is cut to put down the pipe of.
They put these in open fields.
You just said you needed food, now you're displacing with solar, everything. When is the monopoly man come out of retirement? That's not one.
He wants cheap energy, then you just passed out the natural gas, which was the cheapest energy form there was coming here. But no, you didn't want that. You have no problem with solar, with your field filled up with solar panels.
For greed, to make.
All right, now the whole thing, if you look at it, I remember one fellow was complaining about the herbicides and all the nonsense. They have to spray it with herbicides to keep the grass down. The very manufacturing of the solar panel creates tremendous waste, toxic waste, that they don't even have places to put it. They have to ship it someplace. All right, the whole thing would never even work without government subsidies. That's the bottom line. If you were an investor, you would never put your money into that solar company to build those solar panels because it'd be a losing proposition. It's tax money, and it's tax money all the way around. So no, they don't need a free ride. They shouldn't even be here. They shouldn't even have solar farms.
Without subsidies, 5 largest oil companies got $4.2 billion last year in subsidies. And like they really need it to keep their profit going.
That's not my point. I'm talking about solar.
I'm saying subsidies. We're subsidizing everybody else.
So don't
We might wanna move on,
subsidize even
Jeff.
more, don't spread the infection even further.
It's, no matter how you do it, it's subsidies. And that's the only reason why these companies are here. And once they get the money, they'll put those things in for 20, 40 years, and then they're gonna leave. And you're not even be able to take the things apart. They're inefficient, they're not, it's just not ready for that. And that's that. You wanna put them on your house and your barns, I could care less. But to put it in fields that you force, the farmers are gone. And there we are, what little fields you have, and they don't care about the fields, they'll cut wood lots. All right, and you, like I said, you just stopped natural gas coming in here for cheap generation. It was the cheapest fuel there was, is. But now, this is all right, fill our views with shiny solar panels. That's
Natural
okay.
gas will never hit Franklin, and look how much natural
Is
gas
this
is up.
electricity gonna
Look
stay
what natural
local?
gas has done for Walton. My gosh, Walton is a mecca of economic
Well,
growth.
I
It's
don't
had
think
natural
it's-
gas for years.
Well, they're not dead, but they haven't blown up. and I don't think
Jack, we might
it's
need to
grown
move on.
yet.
Walton's loss is lost to agriculture.
And natural gas didn't save them.
Walton's
The state
demise
has-
came from agriculture. That's the
But
loss
there were a
of
lot
it.
of industries. How many industries? You go back 100
But it
years
was
ago,
all
the big-
sub-supported by the farm.
Well, Jeff, we might need to move on.
And Donnie, one interesting, you're right about solar, but without solar, there's no agriculture because,
You already
Of
picked
the
other industries.
fields,
You're
okay?
all photosynthesis.
exactly. So, if it being used in a different way, that's in concert with the structure of the basic industry of this area and a lot of upstate New York, I think there's a lot to say there. I mean, look, again, you brought it up, the price of food, look what's going on around the world. And you wanna take the little land, I'm not saying you specifically, but the collective you, to take what we have in productive ground and put it, in place for the benefit of a company that doesn't, is gonna function off of subsidies and whatever. And there's no guarantee that technology's there or when it's gonna come along. Maybe it will, but I don't think anybody has a hard and fast deadline on when that's gonna be.
There's an awful lot of land available that's not in production right now.
There is, and it's very valuable.
But I'm just saying, in the long term, I think that this law is kind of focused on something that's really not a problem. And it could be addressed when you first start getting proposals to, maybe Delhi has gotten a lot of them. Franklin's not seeing them yet, so I'm just thinking you're rushing to
And
judgment.
I'm not sure, since Delaware Electric Co-op does cover, I don't know how many townships, there's some in Franklin, Hamden, Delhi, I don't think it would go Meredith, Walton. So I don't know how many townships they cover, but, a couple months ago, Wayne Marshfield said there was 16 sites that were of interest. Maybe I should put it that way. And that they, really the delivery of it is the problem. But my concern, I can see, maybe the flaw in this. I would love to see, the pilot program written into it. So it is there, so even the homeowner would not get 100% assessed value. If it did go to an assessed value at some time, it would be between the homeowner and the town, or the homeowner and, I guess it would be between the homeowner and town to set up the percentages.
When there's a pilot program, the company always haggles over it, and they keep on suing over it for years and years to try to cut you down further.
Well, that very well might be, but
They
it's,
also sue you over your assessment too.
pardon?
Also,
Yes.
the assessment, if they don't sue over that, they'll sue over their assessment. So
That is the
you get
ugliness of,
both things.
and the same thing on, being exempt for 20, for 15 years. It's the same token there. I guess the assessed value was put on it, but no taxes are paid. Because I think they do set a value on the solar farm, possibly on what it costs or whatever. I think, but because they've gotta have something to go by it. They may be tax-free, but you gotta have some type of figures for building it, I guess is what it would be. It may not be an assessed value, but what did this 20-acre farm cost the company to build it? And by making cheaper electricity, you've all said corporations are greedy, and I agree with you 100%. There's not a corporation out there that, because they're not paying taxes, they're gonna give you the break. We can laugh, right, Brian, you're chuckling at that. I think you agree with me on that. That, no matter how much power, how many solar farms are out there, these corporations or whoever it is that, does the installation and has them, to say they're gonna give us a break because we're giving no assessed value on it is kind of foolish, I think.
But by the same token, any added cost will be added and passed down the line, so it
Yeah,
happens to.
everybody will pay for it, not just town of Franklin, everybody. But the same token, if they go in another town and build, with a free assessment and stuff, they're gonna, it's not, our power's not gonna go cheaper. they're gonna go with the rate they can get, just as high as they can. It's just a corporation type of deal, which is very unfortunate in this country. But I don't think there's anything we can do about it. So, yes, you had a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, and, I think this law, it could be very sketchy, and I'm trying to put myself in the place of assessor. I would feel very uncomfortable knowing that this law was in place and saying, okay, this residential person, they have solar, we're not gonna look at them, but this commercial solar farm, even if it's small, oh, we've gotta look at them, we've gotta tax them. Or a farmer, commercial or non-commercial, I'm not sure how farmers do that. But I think it's kind of a biased situation that the assessor could be put in. And how I understand this law, that it would be taxing anyone who has solar. Farmers, residential, or commercial.
Well, that may be something we'll have to look at then, yes. But
I really,
but you really
I mean, it would
can't,
be great, because I'm really thinking that this law could penalize anyone who, a homeowner, residential homeowner, who wishes to install solar for their basic necessity. I mean, we need
Right.
heat in New York State, we can't
Yeah.
go without a heating system, or electric, and for, not for profit, but to run our homes
Right.
on a cleaner, renewable, sustainable energy. And I think that could really penalize some of the residential and even farmers. And, who would want, the farms that are left in Delaware County to be penalized? As I drive through Schoharie County, you're seeing solar panels on all of these barns. And I think it's wonderful for them.
The point that Jim made was that for small scale installations, they're so small that it doesn't matter. It's only when you get so big that it's commercial, then it's significant.
Here's what I'm gonna do.
Now, I've had 2 solar panels on the top of my barn ever since the year 2000. I wanted to have a little source of electricity in case all the lights went out. And I have a bunch of batteries in the back room, and I have both an inverter, which I can use to run things like a refrigerator, or what I usually run on it is fluorescent lights that are made to work on 12-volt DC. I'm not connected to the power grid. There are 2 separate wiring systems in my system. One is 12 volts DC, and the other is 120 volts AC. They don't mix at all in any way, and as a routine thing, it just reduces the amount of power that I buy for NICEAG by a little bit each month. As an emergency preparation, it's there in case it's needed.
well, that's what,
Nobody ever told me that my property was gonna be worth more because I put those solar panels up. They're a tiny fraction of the value of the property.
That's my point. You would never, the value of the system is never enough that it's gonna raise the value of your property enough that you're gonna be taxed to the point where it's even if I don't think you would be taxed. So that's the bottom line, it's just what he said. But a commercial
There's no
system,
guarantee.
that's a guarantee, it
But
doesn't.
the assessors, it's always at
add to your
his discretion,
value.
no matter what the assessment is, Liz. Doesn't matter if
The
you're talking
valuation of
solar or
property.
anything.
But it seems like an assessor should use a formula or some kind of algorithm to determine who gets taxed. I mean, as an assessor, I would want to be very equal and fair. I wouldn't want to be putting myself up for a lawsuit. I wouldn't want to say, we're going to tax this person, but not this person and this person. You'd have to use some kind of basic
No.
form to make it equal.
That's true, you do.
So I'm thinking that it could jeopardize residential, and hopefully.
well, if you, what if, I know in the state law, I think, Donnie, is there a spot in there that says 15 kW systems? Or is that in the county resolution? It might have been in the county resolution.
I've read it.
it might be in the county resolution, it was a 15 KW, you know, anything under
Threshold.
15
Yeah.
KW would be exempt.
I don't think it's a state. I don't remember seeing anything like that in the state.
Might
So it
have put it
been
in the
res-
county resolution, it is somewhere,
It's not in the state.
it's not in the state, so it's in the
Something like
county,
12 or 13
the
pages.
county resolution that
Yeah.
they had passed.
The other thing that hasn't been mentioned in the county resolution, the town was gonna be left to collect
Right.
the pilot, which the town is not responsible for collecting. We are guaranteed our tax money now. If somebody doesn't pay their taxes, the county takes care of it. Right now, with this new pilot, the way they wanna do it, if somebody doesn't pay their pilot, now the town is gonna be responsible to try and track them down, try and get the money. If not, possibly, I don't know what kind of large scale it would be, but possibly for foreclosure, you know, a tax sale, which the town has never had to do ever, because the county is always, so you're leaving yourself and you're leaving yourself wide open for more lawsuits. That's what this law can, the law can help avoid.
But that doesn't change anything we're doing in the law tonight, doesn't change that. The county's still gonna have that.
The county's gonna have it, but we're not gonna be a part of it.
We're not gonna be a part
So
of
we
it.
will not be affected by it.
We would set up the pilot program, and then the county would, you know, we would be given the money, you know, the county would cover any taxes, that's how the county does it. You know, on land taxes, you know, the town collects, Dawn collects the taxes, and keeps all the money up till our budget is funded, 100%. Then it goes to the county, and it's the county's responsibility to pay any late tax, or to collect any overdue taxes and stuff like that. And the same, I think the school's the same way. That, you know,
The village is not, the village is not that way.
so, I mean, the county is footing the bill on, you know, some assessed taxes, there's no doubt. But that is a whole nother ballgame here too. That isn't what, you know, this local law is addressing. But I think, you know, we can go back and look it over. I think, you know, I was hoping to get it done tonight, but I think it's probably a good idea to, you know, possibly, I'll talk with a lawyer more and see what she feels about a pilot program, because then it would cover everybody. And, you know, if you were, then that would, if the assessor does sometime implement assessed values on homeowners' systems, you wouldn't want to put the system in until you got the agreement with whether it be the town or whoever, on a percentage of the tax assessed value, not on the whole assessed value. So you would know before you stepped into it whether it's feasible or not. That would be a protection for the residential and farm.
With systems, and we're only talking systems that are physically put in place with like concrete or posts or something like that, correct? The reason I'm saying that is because the point was made about solar panels and batteries and stuff,
Yeah.
which is movable, can go anywhere. So I could buy a hand generator, put it in the house, and they could steal. What's the tax called where some states have it where they can tax equipment that you have? Is it personal property tax? Yeah. So I guess my point is that I don't think that something that is, again, if I have 4 solar panels that I can pick up and move down the road tomorrow and some batteries, that's going to be looked at the same way that something's, you know, attached to my house or, you know, my yard or something else.
Right,
like,
something
you
that's
know,
a
we have-
fixture in the property.
Right, and we have the vacuum tubes now, and they're down in the ground, and that's a different discussion.
Well, my panels are up on the barn because that's where they get the most sun.
Most sun.
Right, but you could
But
take
you can
it,
unbolt them,
yeah,
and there's no concrete foundation, and they don't take away from this acreage of my field.
yeah.
Okay, is there any other questions, or
Oh, just a quick one. Who wrote the law?
it's Cheryl Sacco from Kaufman and Gerhardt?
Isn't there a Media town? What?
No, well, Cheryl has been our special, you know, person,
She's
you
a
know,
specialist in contracts.
right, she said anytime we'd like to have anything done, she would, you know, just do it for us, for the asking, not under contract or anything.
She worked out the road use agreement for us.
Yes.
Yeah. And she, I mean, and she actually, her and Jim got together on a telephone call and discussed this, and she got back. I said, there's no sense me being in the middle of this. You might better have the two professionals that I'm putting my faith in them to do the right thing for the town. And they came up with that. Before she talked to Jim, she was against opting out. But once she heard what the county did and what they have done, she said, your only choice is to opt out. You always opt back in if you want, but you can't opt out once you've accepted what they're doing. And I found out Wednesday that Deposit has opted out with a local law. The supervisor told me that, and I've heard that Davenport has too. I haven't talked to Dennis about that, but,
When you say opt out, you mean exactly what
They
we're
did,
doing here, not the
yes.
county system?
right, well, actually opting out of, see, if you opt out, you're opting out of what the county has
Right.
passed also.
Because several towns did pass what the county.
Yeah,
I don't have a list of.
I don't have a list either. I know that as a board, they approved the 18-1. And, but since then, I've understood that, at least, I know Deposit, Tom told me, you know, they just passed a law last month to opt out, you know, and that was that. And I had heard through the grapevine that Davenport had too, and I haven't didn't take a roll call at the board. I should talk to more supervisors about it to find out how their feeling is on it. But,
Have we talked with the school and the village about this?
no, we have not.
We might talk with them so that we're all on the same tune.
Well, see, this is a problem with the county program. The schools don't have to go with it, which is, schools would be stupid too. Because according to the plan from the county, it's 50% of the taxes or payments. They're not taxes, they're host community payment is what it is. It's not an assessment, it's a monetary amount. The town gets 50% of it. This county and schools get 25. Well, on normal assessed values, schools get roughly 60% of the assessed value, property assessed value. County gets maybe 25 and the town gets about 15% of it. So all of a sudden, they're gonna give the town 50% of it instead of our 15, which we would normally get. And in the law, it says that you can't charge more than what you normally would get out of the taxes, out of the assessed value. Well, if the normal assessed value would be 15% of the total assessed value of the project. And for round figures, say $1 million, okay, the town would get 150,000.
I'm a little bit confused now.
Okay,
No, I think my question was, would the school and the village, which each have their own tax
they should be, yes,
tax
we should get together.
collections, are they also interested in opting out?
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to them and they haven't, you know,
I think this was a,
was it,
Didn't he say that schools do a resolution as opposed to
Yeah.
law?
yeah, well, it's, yeah,
So,
yeah, they wouldn't have, I don't think they have to do a law.
yeah.
The school board meets on Thursday, so it probably will come up.
Okay, now who's the president now of the school board? Stan? Oh, other than Jamie, he's on the board. Has anything been talked of at the school, Jamie?
Discussed it, yeah.
Haven't been. Okay, well, if you could bring it up at your meeting just to really confuse people. You know, we can all get confused together or whatever, you know. But, you know, I think it probably might be a good thing to maybe look at this law again. I'll call the lawyer tomorrow and see about putting the wording of a pilot program in there. So everybody knows what they're gonna pay even before they start the project. And, you know, if he doesn't assess the homeowners, that's fine. And maybe that's something, I don't know how, that can't be in the law, I'm sure, but, you know, if he changes his mind and starts assessing homeowners, you know, there's gotta be a tie between the code enforcement officer, which would get a permit, I believe, for it. and the assessor's office, so they can get on the same page and say, well, this is being proposed, you know, how are we gonna handle it? And I think they work pretty good together, but I think that's another part of government that should be correlated right together, because what he's approving and, you know, building permits and stuff, they should be on Jim's office to be telling him, well, they're putting up a 20 by 20 additions, or they're putting on a deck, or they're, you know, whatever the building permit is for, you know, and go from there. I mean, if the process works, sometimes the permits are gotten after the project, but, you know, at least it would be notification of it. But, you know, I mean, there's gotta be a tie-in there too. And maybe, you know, I'll talk to Cheryl and see about what about, you know, a pilot program putting in there and somehow wording it that, you know, before anybody puts a solar system on, you'll know what you're gonna be paying. You know, because you'll have the discussion with the assessor. And once it's set, it shouldn't be changing only on a, you know, on a small time basis. If anything, new should be worth more than it is when it's used.
I don't think the county's gonna do a pilot. If you don't play their game, they're not gonna play your game. So if you do a pilot, you're gonna be responsible for it. So you may wanna look into that too, what it would
Yeah,
take.
That might be true, but I think when they did the pilot with Hancock, I don't think there was anything, you know, the IDA and Hancock were together with the gas company. I don't think the county treasurer, county tax man had a whole lot to do with it, you know, and it's an assessed value and go. But I'll do some questions on that.